Okay, good afternoon, social media world. This is Tisha Carter, hashtag Tisha Carter, Evolving T, and Images Empowerment Services. So today I was thinking of coming to you with a different sort of topic, something that I'm typically not talking about, but actually know very well, and that is human resources. The reason why I say I know it very well is because I actually work in human resources. I'm actually the deputy director of a local county here in the Atlanta metro area. So, as you might imagine, I look through millions, thousands of resumes, in fact. So today, I want to give you 5 quick resume tips. Not 5, 7. It started as 5, and then I kept thinking of other things, adding on, adding on. So now I want to share with you 7 resume tips. Now, I'm not saying you have to use them. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying you should consider using them if you do not want your resume screened and rejected. Okay? I'm telling you, if either a company will have an electronic system that reviews the resumes or a person. And if it's a person, they don't have a lot of time to go through them. So these are ways to narrow the playing field right off the bat, okay? Number 1, include a resume. If you're applying for a job, always include a resume. A resume is a snapshot of your career history, your educational history, how your knowledge, skills, and abilities will fit into an organization. So take the time to include a resume. A resume is not a book, certainly not intended to be something that's going to take all day to read, but it is a snapshot. I always say don't necessarily leave content out to make it shorter, but don't put a whole lot of fluff in either. If it's too long, I'm telling you, I am not reading it, okay? Just so you know. Okay, the second one, and these are not in any particular order, but they're all important, okay? The second one is an email address. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have an email address on there, but I am saying you need to be careful of what your email address is, right? So your email address should not be chocolate drop for a professional job, right? Maybe if you're applying for a entertainment industry, you would put chocolate drop, but for a professional job, I suggest you keep the email address as generic as possible. I'm telling you, they're free. So you can have several email addresses. You can have some for your personal, you can have some for your entertainment, and then you need to have one for your professional. I suggest first name, last name. I suggest first name dot last name, first initial dot last name, year of birth, something that's simple and professional, not your personal little topics. Number 3, no photo. I just don't understand it. What does a photo add unless you're in the entertainment industry? Otherwise, I look at them and I'm just thinking, what's the point of the photo? Leave the photo off. We do not need a photo to know if you're going to be a good fit for this job. No photo necessary. Number 4, and this may be one of the most important ones, tailor your job description for the job you're applying for. How do you do that? You read the posting. So be very clear about what job you're applying for and ensure your resume screams that. I mean, if you're applying to be a clown on a circus, you need to make sure you list all of your clown experience. Your professional experience as a clown, your volunteer experience as a clown, your education as a clown, everything you've done as a clown should be listed if you're applying for a position to work as a clown, okay? If you're applying for a job as a clown, it really doesn't lead credibility to that if most of your job description is about you being a dentist. Because being a dentist and being a clown is a different skill set. So I understand if you've been a dentist for a long time and you want to show continuity in your professional career, then just list the title of it and the years. But your your resume should not be all about a dentist if you're applying for a clown. Sometimes I look at them and I'm telling you, I've looked at thousands. We have 1,000 employees. And not to say that I make the final decision on them all, but a lot of them I'm highly involved in the screening. So it's just like, what are they really applying for? So be sure that your resume has those keywords that go with the job that you're applying for. That may take a little bit of work, yeah. So if you're applying for several jobs a day, the resume may not be the exact same. Okay, so take that little time to make sure your resume screams the job you're applying for. As a matter of fact, I should be able to look at the resume and tell you what job you're applying for, okay? Number 6, make sure you do a spell check and just an overview of the resume. So if you're applying to work at Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the topic should not say Home Depot. That means you've sent the wrong resume, right? Or cover letter. Make sure you take that extra step, because what that's showing is that you're not paying close attention to detail, and you're also not checking over your work. So be sure, all you have to do is click that little ABC, or click those little squiggly lines that are under the word for spell check, and then for the overview, just make sure you're sending the correct resume and cover letter for the correct position. Number 6, this is a big one, and I don't think people really think that they are trying to do themselves a favor by doing this, but it's really not. Make sure when you put the salary requirement that you have, that salary fits into the salary range that's listed, right? So if a clown pays $100,000 a year, it's not a positive to say that you'll take $50,000 a year. Why? Because what that tells us is that you don't really understand exactly what the job entails. Because I'm telling you, if they're willing to pay $100,000, it's $100,000 worth of work. So you should not put $50,000 if the minimum is $100,000. Do you understand that? Because I'm telling you, screened and rejected. On the other side, if the salary range is $100,000 to $150,000, I wouldn't necessarily put $250,000, because that means you want way more than we're willing to pay. Now, I'm not saying don't negotiate. Please, please, please negotiate, because you have to be comfortable with the salary that you accept. But I am saying be careful with that answer, and that answer may not necessarily be what you put on another job. I think it should. I think you should assess exactly what you need for you and your family, and those are the only jobs you should apply for. That's my personal opinion. But do not sell yourself short or get screened and rejected just because you're putting a salary that's way too low or way too high. Okay? Now, listen, I'm telling you all of these for free. You know that sometimes people will charge you thousands, hundreds of dollars just for these 7 tips. All you got to do is listen, subscribe, like, share with your friends. This will save all of us some time. If you pay attention to these if you pay attention to these tips when you're completing your resume. And the last one I'm going to share today is social media. Not me so much. I really don't have time, honestly, to check someone's social media, especially when I'm doing that initial screening. I'm telling you, I'm going through about 300 resumes in about 30 minutes. Really, that's just how quick it is. I just don't have time. So I'm like, screen reject, follow up, qualified, not qualified, minimum skills, highly qualified, phone interview, 30 minutes. That's how long I have, okay? But social media is so important, because if you're applying for a job in a professional environment, your social media, if it's open so people can see it, should show that you are a professional. Yep, we can look. We can look at your social media. So if you have your middle finger up, you have your pants unbuttoned, you have no clothes on, and you're not applying for that type of job, might get screened and rejected. And it's really not discriminatory because we basically can say you don't have the qualifications. You're not a good fit. Why aren't you a good fit? Because you also have to fit into the culture of the company that you're trying to work for. So you cannot have your clothes half off because you may be what? A liability. And in human resources, we're trying to decrease liability. So be sure, even if it's a mess now, if you're applying for a job, either inactivate it for a little while or clean it up. I'm telling you, these tips will come in handy. Always include a resume, an updated resume. That's another one. I didn't even mention that when I was talking about the resume. Your resume should not say you work somewhere that you no longer work, right? You stopped working there 2 years ago and you sending me that. Current. Take the time to update your resume. Go to a library, go to Office Max, Office Depot, Staples. Take the time to update your resume. Make sure you have a professional email address. No photo, please. Tailor the job description to the job you're applying for. You should ensure you have those keywords or you're going to be screened and rejected. Number 5, make sure you spell check, and do a final check before you hit submit. The salary should be within the range, and clean up your social media. Okay, that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.